Welcome to the TLC Talk, a podcast by Ohio 4-H teens. Hello everyone, my name is Wyatt Morrow and I am the Communications Committee Chair on the Ohio 4-H Teen Leadership Council. Today I'm here with...
Cecilia Mainzer.
And Cecilia, where are you from?
I'm from Medina County 4-H.
And she was our guest speaker today at the Teen Luncheon at the Ohio 4-H Conference. So to talk a little bit about your experience, what county experience did you have in Medina County?
So in Medina County, I did a lot, started with the still exhibit projects. For my final year, got to show livestock animals, but I got really involved in the county level. I found myself involved in our state or our county leadership. It was Fashion and Nutrition Board, Junior Leaders, and Junior Fair Board, and I actually did all three. And then I also was a camp counselor as well. So that's kind of what we had on our county level.
Absolutely. I did all three of those things too for the past couple years, and it takes a lot out of you doing all of those at the same time. Were you an officer in any of those?
I was. By my end of the year, I actually grew up with three siblings. We were all in high school together, so there was four of us in 4-H. And so one year I was president of Junior Fair Board, and then I was secretary of Junior Leaders, and my brother flip-flopped those roles with me. So he was president of the other, and then my secretary for the other opportunity. So it was pretty fun. We kind of had to communicate and say which role do you want, which one can I have. So
So you talked a little bit about your speech about that livestock experience. How did that happen? You went from doing these still projects to then going and doing livestock. How'd that happen?
I will say, I think one thing that you really get to learn is when you're on Junior Fair Board and Junior Leaders, you get to see what other 4-Hers do. Because when you go to county judging, you really are just really in tune with what you're doing and judging and going to the judge, getting interviewed. You don't really know so much about your competition besides when you see a poster at the fair or, oh, let me look at this person's project. But when you get on that county level, it was Junior Fair Board when I had the responsibility to organize the show ribbons and then MC the livestock shows. It was there I was watching. I'm like, wow, I would really love to try to show an animal. And by my final year, when I was able to take a livestock project, I became champion showman. But the only reason why I could do that is because I grew up running those shows, and I watched all of the other 4-H youth do that. So I wouldn't have been able to transition that easy if I didn't learn watching all of those people do it.
Absolutely. I had a kind of different experience that I had the opposite where I started with livestock and didn't start doing like still projects until like my last couple years. So I did my first clothing project like this past year, which was my last year.
Oh my gosh! So we flip-flopped.
Yeah, it's crazy to like go from, the one thing that you do know in 4-H to going to the complete opposite side of that. Going to animals, still projects are the opposite.
The reason why I could do it so seamlessly, I felt like, was because a 4-H advisor said, hey, I've heard you've been talking, you want to do this. You can keep your goats on my land, but you got to take a duck project with my granddaughter. And so for me, I think to really get into that, it was a 4-H advisor who gave me the tools to make that happen and showed me the realm. So sewing is pretty difficult.
Very much. I learned how to do it in a week with my friend. We went to her grandma's house. Between her and her grandma, they really helped me, and it was very difficult.
Yeah. I just wanted to learn how to sew, so I forced myself into those projects. I wasn't very good. I found myself on the state fashion board, but when you compare your project against the people who have been sewing since their Cloverblood age, they were wearing the blazers that they made. I was like, oh, I don't think my clothing is fully functional for outside wear. I'm not quite sure it would make it out into the real world. But no, it definitely is such a lifelong skill, and I've actually found it come up, and I've utilized it for a lot of things. You'd be surprised when you get to college, kind of, oh, hey, this tour, we need this for our design team. Can you sew this real quick? Yeah, sure, no problem.
I ran into that. Like, I've had sometimes, like, I had this happen to me at State Fair. We have to wear, official dress kind of when we usher the concerts. And so I had to wear my polo and black slacks, and the seam at the bottom ripped, and I had my sewing kit that I won because I was judging for my clothing project up there.
Yes,
in case anything happened, and I just, stitched it up really quick.
Pulled it out. And
yeah. So you took those still projects. What clock trophies did you win within your time in 4-H?
Oh, that's a great question. I'll have to remember. I won 4 of them, which very, very honored to do that. if I could segue, I remember when I joined Junior Fair Board, the president of that year in my county, she came back from the state fair. She had won a clock trophy. And by that time, I was very fortunate. When I was 9 years old and became transitioned from Clover Bud to a 4-H member, started going to the state fair as young as 9 years old. You know, you try, you just get an outstanding of the day ribbon. You get a little bit closer, and it's like, man, is it even possible to win a clock trophy? I don't know if I believe it. So then this girl, the president of the Junior Fair Board, came back, won a clock trophy, and I go, oh my gosh. I can't, that's amazing. That's such an incredible accomplishment. And she told me, she was like, you'll get there, Cecilia. Don't worry, you'll get there. And so by that time, I won it for You Can Quilt, which I learned sewing. I'm not that good at clothing, but I loved learning how to quilt. I think it went along with my mathematical brain, and I just liked the squares and piecing it together and making a bigger puzzle out of it. There was another one. Some of the projects, I'm a little bit old, so some of the projects have been discontinued and revamped because the Ohio curriculum is really good at updating them. But one of my greatest ones was I did, I believe it's called like one-on-one. It's a leadership project. So you take, it's all focused on mentorship. So usually the project is designed getting a clover bud and helping mentor them through their first projects. Well, I was actually in a unique opportunity. I was in high school, and I convinced, I don't know how, but I convinced 3 gentlemen in my grade to enroll in County 4-H. Join the club. You talk about you're interested, you don't really have something to do over the summer, join 4-H, and I will lead you along the way. And it was so cool. So I took that project, said, oh my gosh, I might as well just take this project while I'm doing this. And I had 3 mentees, and working with them, someone took a fashion, or excuse me, a nutrition project, photography, and then the other guy took a couple. He took 2 projects actually, and so I would go to a park and we do the picnic cookout and the nutrition project. I go over to the guy's house and look through the photography and work through the project book, and it was so cool to work with them. And you know, it's definitely designed for younger members and the activities, but having someone on your same level, the same age as you, I learned a lot. And I will tell you, it's such an empowering moment when that person that you're mentoring makes it to the state fair for the first time. It's like, oh my gosh, I didn't believe I could do this. What do I do next? And so I went on to the state level and showcased all that I did for that project. And I won the clock trophy. And the judge came up to me later and said, you know, we see our enrollment dropping for the older youth. Sometimes we can really engage the younger members, the clover bud, everything like that. But she was very surprised that I could encourage 3 guys to join 4-H out of nowhere, and I think that was one of the coolest ones. So I didn't answer all the clock trophies. I might have to go
No,
back
that's okay.
and look, but yeah, definitely that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. We've definitely seen like enrollment numbers dropping throughout the years, and you know, I think it's really important that we have like TLC and things like that,
Yes,
so that you know
yes.
we can keep advocating for that, having more kids enroll in 4-H and taking more different types of projects. You know, I've definitely had my fair share of having mentees, and you know, you might have had some experiences where you've had mentees fall through, and you know they don't always follow through with that. But then when you do have those ones, you know, I had one today, and it was very rewarding to see this when she got to come and be at conference as a TLC member, and last year coming here just with our county, and getting to see that, it was like, wow, you know, the work you're putting in really paid off, and you know, yours did with the clock trophy and going through
Yeah,
it with that project.
definitely. And I'll tell you, with a conference like this and everyone that you bring together and how you showcase TLC today, I think you convince some people to join the council. So that's going to be pretty exciting.